Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is getting comfortable. It's a beautiful night. It's a little muggy, but I think we're doing okay. Thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Rebecca. I'm on the communications team at the Albuquerque Police Department, and I'm honored to serve you tonight as your MC. Today is not just a celebration of our city's progress, but also an opportunity for us to come together as a community and recognize the work we all do every day to build a better future for everyone. Today we will hear from Mayor Tim Keller, who will reflect on the current state of our city and give us a preview of our plan for Albuquerque's future. I hope you leave today with a renewed sense of pride for this city that we all call home. On behalf of the Mayor and First Lady, I want to extend a warm welcome to all the elected leaders here today. I'd like to ask our current elected officials to please stand so we can all recognize you. We see you guys out there. Thank you for everything that you do for our community. We would also like to take a moment to express our gratitude to the brave men and women who serve in our military and to our first responders. If you are a member of the military or are a first responder, please stand so we can also show you our appreciation. And let's give a big round of applause to all those folks. Thank you all for all that you do to keep our community safe and protecting everyone in this city that we call home. It has been a difficult week for the Albuquerque Police Department, for our city, and for our community. Officer Bianca Quintana, an Albuquerque police officer, was killed while off duty last week, and we are sending all of our condolences to her family, to her friends, and to her colleagues at the police department that knew and loved her. We are thinking of you, and we are here for you. If we can all take a moment of silence in her honor. Without further ado, please rise and remove your hats for the presentation of colors led by the Albuquerque Police Department and the Albuquerque Fire Rescue Honor Guard. And now I am pleased to invite 11-year-old Derek Barrett and Maya and Jack Keller to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
And now for the national anthem sung by the talented 15-year-old native New Mexican Bon Orr.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the balls bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América
y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos.
You may now be seated. Collaboration is key to the success of our city, and we are grateful for the contributors of our city council in helping to strengthen Albuquerque. It is my pleasure to introduce a video message from some of our council members.
Joaquin Baca, City Councilor, District 2. Favorite projects include restriping Central Avenue for bike lanes, getting people more involved with the Rio Grande, and then just all the little community, working on the parks, working on roads, making things safer and more comfortable for everybody. District 2 has 33 very active neighborhood associations. People care about their neighborhoods fiercely, and I think that's a great thing.
Hi everyone, my name is Clarissa Pena and I serve District 3 in the city of Albuquerque. The boundaries are south of Central, west of the river, and in the incorporated areas of the city. District 3 has so many projects. We have the Route 66 Visitor Center. We actually are working on the Centennial Celebration. We're real excited about everything that we're gonna do there. Then we have the Westgate Community Center. We just completed a phase. We have one more phase to go. And then we have the Southwest Public Safety Center, and that's gonna consist of APD, fire station, and also ACS. But the Public Safety Center is on its way to being completed, so we're very, very excited about that. To me, District 3 is the best district in the city of Albuquerque. It's home to the Atrisco Land Grant, which predates the city of Albuquerque by 3 years. It's rich in history, culture, most importantly, it's people, our foods. We all consider ourselves neighbors. We know each other. I mean, it's just really the best kept secret in the city of Albuquerque, and it's the best place to live.
Hi everybody, Councilor Nicole Rogers, District 6. We have so many amazing projects happening right now in our district. It's so hard to just pick one. So I think the most exciting ones are parks. We need park renovations. Phil Chacon Park's getting renovated. The community is super excited about that. Plus all the housing projects that we have. We have affordable market rate, about 5 different projects in process, which is gonna bring much, much needed relief for affordable housing, which I'm really excited about. There's so much happening in District 6. The thing I love most about our district is the people. The people who live in District 6, who work, who live, who call it home, who are invested in the success of our district. That is what I love the most about District 6.
I'm Tammy Feeblecorn. I am the City Councilor for District 7, which is the heart of the city near Uptown. There are so many great projects happening in District 7. We have the remodel of Los Altos Park, which is going to be finalized in the next year. We have the new park at Windrock Mall. We have a lot of traffic calming and pedestrian and bicycle safety projects happening. But probably my most favorite is a green stormwater infrastructure pilot that we're doing. So this project's really about climate resilience. As more extreme weather events happen and we see more and more water coming down in these extreme weather events, that we have a place for that water to go. That's not the street, that's not someone's yard, and certainly not someone's home. And I really see this expanding district-wide and hopefully city-wide as we really start to see more and more impacts of climate change. I love everything about District 7. I've been there for a very long time and I don't ever plan to move. It is the heart of the city. It is the exact center of everything that's happening. So many parks and really fun things to do in our district. And you can see that by the folks that choose to live in our district. They are the most civic-minded people that you will find, and I really am honored to serve them.
Hi, my name is Renee Grout. I'm the City Councilor for District 9. District 9 is located in the southeast and northeast heights of Albuquerque from Eubank East and Manal South. We have so many different things happening in our district. I'm really excited about the East Central Gateway sign. We were just awarded from the New Mexico Tourism Department a wonderful grant that will help us build and design a new gateway sign, a neon sign that will help us welcome visitors and guests to our city, and it will also help us revitalize the area. We just finished phase 2 of the Manzano Mesa pickleball courts. We just added 15 new courts and bathrooms. So now we're at a total of 33. Station 12 will be built starting this fall. It's going to take the place of the old station that was built in the 50s. I love the views that we have from the top of the mountain. We have the open space to Harris Arroyo. We have so many biking and hiking and walking opportunities. So many wonderful people, beautiful parks, lots of opportunities, and just beautiful open, clean air.
Thank you to all our city councilors for their hard work and dedication. We appreciate all that you do. And please join me in welcoming a very special guest, Damian Flores. Damian is Albuquerque's 7th Poet Laureate, and today he will share a piece inspired by our theme, A Future Worth Fighting For. Let's give a warm welcome to Damian as he performs his original poem for us.
I dedicate this poem to Dante Barry. He was a poet who rode the city buses everywhere in honor of his son who was lost in a tragic car accident, and Dante just never wanted to drive again, so I was inspired by him and I wrote this poem, and it begins like this. This is called Riding the Bus on Central Avenue. The night city is lighted at the top of West Central Avenue. Reminds me of an old country song some cowboy wrote about my home years ago. And he was right. The lights of Albuquerque are a diamond in the desert. A photo of our city hangs on the wall of the booth in this old diner, Max La Sierra Diner to be exact. And this photo is all vintage, 1960s, Route 66 at Carlisle Boulevard. Impalas and Ford trucks. The motel signs all lit up neon with real-life blinking Christmas lights for the street lights and tail lights. You've seen this picture if you've been to this restaurant. It's someone's vision of a perfect Albuquerque, a dream from long ago. Make a wish on a floating cottonwood seed. And I step outside the diner and Central Avenue is still there, but with a few noticeable changes, but that grit is still there too. I see that grit in the walls of these old buildings, still holding on and doing what they've always done. Stand proud as a monument to the past, because the future is worth fighting for. There's beauty beneath the surface of the asphalt. The roots of all the bosque trees are still strong below these streets. I see this beauty as I walk central towards the bus stop and take it all in. I ride the bus every now and again to remind myself where I come from. Remind myself of the people who live the hard times out on these streets. Pobrecitos, my grandma would say. Some of them don't have no one to take care of them, no one to love them. And I remember her words before I take a seat on the art bus, because I refuse to live in a city without kindness. And the bus rolls through the light at Atrisco, and I think what our neighborhoods need are more good people, more kind people. Because I believe there's more good than bad in the world. We just don't see it as often. And now the downtown bus station has TV cameras and reporters on site. And just once, I want the evening news stories to go like this. Crime rate hits 0% for the day. 100% of stolen property and cars returned to their rightful owners with a full tank of gas, an oil change, and an apology note. Stay tuned for news, for sports with Van Tate. UNM Lobos basketball go undefeated and bring home the national championship. Albuquerque's underdogs prove the naysayers wrong. Stay tuned after these messages. Make a wish on a floating cottonwood seed. As the bus pulls into the station at University, I remember a poem my Professor Levi once wrote. Hoy en día, la plebe no quieren cuidar bodegas, quieren nomás la lana. Nowadays, people don't want to take care of the sheep. They only want the wool. And I remember the harsh words people told me, how poetry can't change anything. Why don't you go write a poem to get rid of the homeless people, they said. Go out on Central and go recite a soliloquy, they said. And so I do. I get off the bus and freestyle street poetry right there. And everyone just walked away from me. They didn't want to hear a poem either. And I laugh as I walk the last blocks back home and imagine my vision of a perfect Albuquerque, a city of hope, a proud city that owns the day, a city that loves itself as much as we love this city, and I know in my heart we can get there. And I look at the downtown lights once more and see a future worth fighting for, a future worth living for. Thank you.
Thank you, Damien, for that performance. Much like many of us here today, First Lady Dr. Elizabeth Kiston Keller was born and raised in Albuquerque. This city is not only her hometown, but also the future she envisions for her family. After several years of international work on global water conflict and cooperation, she returned home and currently works in strategic futures and policy analysis at Los Alamos National Laboratory. She and the mayor are thrilled to be raising their kids in Albuquerque. I deeply admire her commitment to giving back to her love and dedication to our city. And it is my pleasure to introduce our First Lady, Dr. Elizabeth Kiston Keller.
Thank you all. Thank you so much to all of our city staff, our incredible community partners, and the wonderful team here at the ABQ BioPark Zoo for making tonight possible. I think the first and maybe last time that I was up here on this stage, I was 7 or 8 and playing fiddle music with Ken and Jeannie and their beloved band Bayou Seco. And I remember being terrified at the time because I was about the same size as these fish here in the pond. So it is definitely more relaxing to be back decades later and relieved that I grew to be at least a little bit bigger than the koi. So welcome to you all. Thank you for making time on this hot and beautiful evening to celebrate our city. Whether you've been coming to the zoo for decades or this is your first time, we're thrilled to have you here tonight to celebrate our city. Huge thanks are also due to everyone in Albuquerque who's putting in the work in ways big and small to create an incredible future for all of our kids, for all of our families, and for all of our communities. Like many of you, Tim and I find back to school season is an incredible time to reflect on the amazing community that's helping us raise our kids, Maya and Jack, and supporting and nurturing our entire family. And this year, the perfect timing of the Olympics meant that we also found ourselves thinking and talking about what it means to be part of incredible teams, what it means to fight for something that's bigger than yourself, and what it means to put in the hard work, physically and mentally, to achieve excellence in many different forms. And now I'll admit that our kids were a bit confused when I made a quick pivot from trying to limit screen time over the summer to pushing hours and hours of Olympics TV in those last few days before school. But they got into the spirit quickly, invented some new events, creative couch dismounts, and a long leap over a line of stuffed animals for friendly competition at home. And Tim and I found ourselves, after those first few days of school, tiredly high-fiving each other and awarding each other pretend medals for completing the back-to-school logistics decathlon. But of course, we know that the real success of these past few weeks has nothing to do with the actions of Tim and I alone, but rather an incredible team of teams that supports families in our city throughout the summer and during the school year. For me and Tim, one of the really special things about getting to raise our kids where we grew up is the incredible community that makes it all possible. We are so lucky to be surrounded and supported by parents, aunts, uncles, siblings, and cousins that are entwined in our daily lives and our weekly routines. And like many of you, we also rely on an extended network that includes friends, neighbors, camp counselors, lifeguards, librarians, after-school and community center staff, and many, many more. So one of the truly amazing things about getting to serve our hometown as mayor and first lady is that we get to work side by side with each of you to ensure that families have access to the resources and to the networks that they need. As I think about our journey over these last several years, I am so grateful for all of the hard work and for all of the teamwork that has gone into strengthening existing services and to creating new services to fill key gaps, so that together we can create a future for all of Albuquerque that is safe, that is innovative, that is equitable, and that is sustainable. The hard work and meaningful progress we're gathered together tonight to celebrate, and our priorities for the work going forward, all reflect our enduring commitment to supporting families and communities that are the lifeblood of this city. And we cannot thank you all enough for stepping up to fight for a brighter future too. I know I mention it over and over again, but I am continuously blown away by how strong the spirit of giving back and paying it forward is here in Albuquerque. And I am continuously inspired by the ways that our universal desire to create a better future for our kids and a better future for our family brings us together across divides. People from all walks of life are constantly reaching out and finding ways to get engaged to help each other and to support our community. And this service and the connections it creates continue to be foundational for bolstering the resilience of our beloved community. So I want to thank you all again for the roles you play and for your continued efforts to get your friends, your family, your neighbors connected to opportunities to join this incredible team of teams as well. So with that, it's my great pleasure to welcome up my loves and introduce the co-captain of our family and mayor of this great city, Tim Keller.
Well, good evening, Albuquerque. From our family to yours, welcome to our Albuquerque BioPark. Isn't this a wonderful night in the Duke City? You know, we've got baby gorillas, we have little blue penguins, and our zoo brings the wonders of the world to the heart of the city each and every day for Burqueños. Let's give everyone who works at the zoo and the zoo staff just a round of applause for what they do. It is wonderful to see so many families here today. You know, there is nothing more fundamental to our city than our loved ones, whether they're related or chosen. It's a strong reminder that we will never give up on building a better future for our families. Now, I know some folks think the odds are against us in this city, that a better future might be out of reach. I was born and raised here, and I've heard those doubters before. So I know, in many ways, that when we say there's a better future for our city, that there's a lot of folks who believe that that's out of reach. And I understand that. I was born and raised here, and I've heard those doubters before. And look, I get it. Our challenges are formidable, especially when it comes to crime and when it comes to homelessness. And I know that like cities all across the country, we are awash in fentanyl. Our young people are entangled in gun violence. And our under-resourced criminal justice system fuels a revolving door that sends dangerous folks sometimes right back out. So I get it. It's easy to blame others. In fact, most people actually just blame me. And so I understand it can feel like there's no way up for Albuquerque. Now, when I ran for this office, we actually had similar challenges. And we have made progress. We're going to talk about some of that tonight. But it is not enough. that's also what we're going to talk about tonight. I know we've also had some missteps. I also know we've had some false starts, and we've learned, and we are gaining traction, pulling ourselves out of the doldrums. The bottom line is we must keep fighting for Burque. You see, I believe that together we still have the power to make a difference. Do y'all still believe that out there with me? That's right. We can never give up on that belief. So this city has a long history of resilience. It's probably our single greatest strength. We find ways, despite the odds. Albuquerque is always going to be a contender. Now, I remember back in 2020, when a lot of folks were counting us out, we had the pandemic, social unrest, we had a police department stuck in years of DOJ oversight, and the community was calling for change. And it was time for bold action. And there was no roadmap from other cities. But that summer, our team huddled up and created a brand new public safety response. The Albuquerque Community Safety Department, or ACS, was born. Thank you. This department sends social workers and trained professionals to 911 calls for mental health, addiction, and homelessness. And today, ACS responds 24/7 and has taken 80,000 calls helping those in need and freed up law enforcement to fight violent crime. That's 80,000 times we had the right response at the right time, something no other city in America has even come close to. Now, I know another point, one of our low points was when we had one of our teenagers unfortunately shot outside West Mesa High School. This was another example where we could not wait around. And so we started a high school-based violence intervention program to get troubled teens back into mentorship and get them support to be on the right track. This you are about to see is also working.
My name is Ceriyah Wilmore. I'm 18. I was a student at West Mesa for 3 years. I don't know, I just feel like it was maybe the group of people I hung out with, and that's when it all started. I was always in trouble, getting suspended. I really didn't care. I didn't care for school, I didn't care for nothing.
She would not look at us, ever. There was some trouble. She had conflicts with other students.
I was extremely worried about Ceriyah's future because she has a family history of people being in prison, and I really did not want her to go that way.
And our objective was to work with kids based off of violent activities. Ceriyah, she was very standoffish when she started, but she kept coming.
This program, we think, is literally saving lives in West Mesa.
And I was one of the first kids, so I've been there since my junior or sophomore year. And I feel like it's really helped, really changed me as a person, and it has helped a lot of us.
All of a sudden, Ceriyah was speaking with us, looking us in the eye, saying hello to us, greeting us.
The program opened me up more, started to talk more, helped me make new friends. Could really concentrate and focus. My grades, they went up by a lot. So in May, I graduated.
What?
Graduated. I mean, it feels really good, like, you know. I really hope the other kids, I hope that them seeing me graduate can encourage them.
She's a leader, and she's my first graduate, and I'm very, very proud of that.
What kept me from giving up is, I feel like when I talk to Mike, he would say, if I keep doing what I'm doing, then all the people who doubted me are gonna say, like, they're gonna know that I didn't make it. So I had to prove them wrong, I guess.
Congratulations on graduating, Ceriyah. I think she's with us today. Give us a wave. Congratulations. There she is. You know, just like that VIP program, Ceriyah is proving the doubters wrong. In that program, we've seen grades go up 33% and major reoffenders going down actually 85%. That is something I want to see in every school in the city, at least every high school. We owe that to our kids. Our young folks show endless grit and potential. And one of my favorite hidden gems in the city is actually Jack Candelaria Community Center. This is also a boxing gym, and it's where kids can channel that energy in a way that actually is positive. And they get support from amazing Burqueños, like even some of our international champions. Matthew Diamond Boy Griego, I think, is here. You might have seen him win the title fight last night. Way to go, Diamond Boy. And so he's such a reminder that we've got to stay in the ring no matter what happens. And so we're bringing that same spirit to our police department on a number of fronts. So when I came to office, look, we were against the ropes. We had a helicopter that couldn't fly. We had massive officer shortages, squad cars without radar. That might have been why no one was getting speeding tickets. And we also had no end to the consent decree in sight. Our department was on the edge of collapse. But we fought back, first and foremost, with a civilian response. Then we added technology like shot detection and license plate readers and gun databases, and old-fashioned police work too, like downtown beats and also understanding bike cops and open space patrols. It was a back-to-basics approach. And now we actually have security cameras hopefully making us safer in our public spaces. But most importantly, we've cleared thousands of felony warrants to try and make our streets safer each day. Thank you. And this approach is working. Homicides are actually down 30%, and we've doubled the clearance rate. If you shoot someone in Albuquerque, our police department will find you and they will arrest you. That is a good thing for all of us. Solving more cases, bringing more hope to families and victims' families. Now for us, we know we have a long way to go on a number of fronts when it comes to public safety. We know that shoplifting is on the rise. We have arson in Old Town. We have vandalism and burglary that continue to plague our city. We have drug use and dealing all too often in plain sight, even on our bus system. That's why we're taking steps to make it safer for all folks on our bus. Criminal behavior will not be tolerated. Our new layered code of conduct approach will combine zero fares, a great thing, so that we have a frictionless use of our buses, hop on and hop off, and be safe while you're on that bus. So now is the time to scale up on what's working in our city, and that is exactly what we're doing. We're doubling down on our gunshot detection capabilities to cover almost a quarter of the city, including Old Town and Uptown and some additional high schools. We're also giving grants to businesses for cameras, and we're helping repair broken windows so they can get back to business. Now, I know it's hard to believe, but it was just 4 years ago, when the federal government almost took over our entire police department. But today, we are in full compliance with the DOJ reforms, full compliance after just 4 years after that turnaround. Few thought that was possible. I didn't even think it was possible, actually, in that speed. And so we want to thank the folks who've been a part of that, whether it's the community and the advocates, or it's the officers who owned that mission of reform. But it's just the beginning of APD's resurgence. We will never back down when it comes to building trust in the community and adapting to the needs of our city. From the superintendent of reform to APD ambassadors to collaborations with other law enforcement agencies, APD is owning its mistakes and improving every day. And our message is clear: do not count us out. Now, thank you. When we're dealing with issues as serious and complex as homelessness, no one entity and no one action is going to turn it around by themselves. This story you're about to see shows that if we are going to rise in this community, we have to work together as a community. Let's hear from Ashley.
My name is Ashley Martinez. I work for an amazing local nonprofit
called Cuidando Los Niños. I understand how scary it can be to hear child homelessness, right? It's raw, it's real. It's something that people rather pretend not to know about because it's easy. These kids have been through more than a lot of adults have been through in their lifetime. We've seen a lot of dark situations that I would wish on no child. We've seen them be in places where they have no water, they have no electricity. We have a lot of families that are living in cars, living in shelters, and living in hotels. After you hang out with our kids, you see them, you hear their stories, it changes everything. We get our families out of homelessness into stability by getting them housed. We can't do this alone. I would like to encourage the community to not take the easy route. Let's work on this, right? Let's work on the issue in front of us because the transformation is amazing. I've witnessed this the last 6 years. The best thing is when we get our families housed and the kids walk in and say, guess what? I have a bed. I have a pillow for the first time. Change happens today. It happens with us, and it needs to happen now. If a community shares a purpose and a reason for change, it's unstoppable. And the only way we can do that is enhancing our resources and collaborating. So if there are any doubters out there who, think this problem is too big to solve, just think, this is our community. Let's make it a better place. A better future for all of the families in Albuquerque is worth fighting for. Every child in Albuquerque is 100% worth fighting for. There is no giving up.
Ashley, I know you're here too. If you want to give us a wave, thank you so much for all you do. Ashley, you show up for these families with clear eyes and a full heart, and I'm grateful. Thank you for sharing your story. Of all the challenges we face, this issue is without a doubt the main event. Despite our best efforts, we believe there are 5,000 people living on our streets. 5,000 people living on our streets. That's what we need to focus on today. So we're not going to back down for those 5,000 people. And we're not going to blame anyone else. We are going to do everything we can for those 5,000 people. But I know we can't fix this alone. We need to help build a healthy community across the continuum, from the panhandler to the addict to those facing addiction. And that's why today we are announcing the Metro Homelessness Initiative. It's a sweeping, all-in approach to make a difference in as many lives as possible. And at its heart is a clear admission. We all have to do more, a lot more. So I'm starting by directing our team to double down on every city effort to get more people into houses and off the streets. Today, our city alone is actively sheltering 900 people nightly. By the way, a lot of those folks who work on this every night are here with us. Please give a round of applause to everyone who does street outreach and works with our homeless. They shelter 900 folks a night, but we need that to be 1,200. We do street outreach 1,000 times every month, but we need to do that 2,000 times. We provide 1,100 of the most vulnerable with housing, but we have to double that too. That is how big the problem is, and that's how big our response has to be. So by far, the single greatest, most important project that's part of this is our Gateway Center. And I will tell you, I know it's had its challenges, but it is back on track. And over the next 9 months, it will provide immediate help for 1,000 people a day. It's going to provide a pathway off the street and out of addiction and for a better tomorrow. But that's not enough, so we're actually making more. For years, we have agreed that we need a distributed approach to helping the homeless that includes multiple gateway centers. So get ready, Albuquerque. We are transforming our largest shelter into the Gateway West. It's a safe home with wraparound services and no barriers to entry for 600 people every night. And we're purchasing the San Mateo Inn and transforming that into the youth gateway for our unhoused teenagers. And we're starting Recovery Gateway, our first micro-community for those experiencing homelessness and addiction. And lastly, there's the Family Gateway, our reworked hotel housing 50 families with services every night. Hopefully, by this time next year, and with some critical funding and partner support, we can have all 5 gateways working as an integrated system, helping thousands of people off our street each and every day. Now, we acknowledge that homelessness is complex, and part of that is understanding that we have to do more to help people from becoming homeless in the first place. And so to do that, we are introducing a Renter's Bill of Rights, because housing is a human right. And to get that started, we helped launch the Landlord Engagement Program just yesterday to make it easier for folks to rent using housing vouchers. And I know we're going to continue to keep balancing, keeping our parks and medians and sidewalks clean and connecting people to the services they need. We are going to do both in this town. Thank you. So we should also provide jobs for the unhoused too. That's why we're getting back to a better way forward. This is our program to help those in our gateway system earn a paycheck by helping clean our streets and sidewalks while getting access to resources to lift themselves up. This is empowerment through employment. It is literally a hand up and not a handout. And I know we have our first individual who's been living that program. Brad Adair is with us. He's a Duke City ambassador and lives at Gateway West. Brad, thank you for setting the standard we want to replicate hundreds of times. Thanks, Brad. He's right over there, too. So I know we also need to tell the truth about what's not working. And I will tell you, our current housing voucher program needs a lot of work. So we're overhauling it so that government red tape does not get in the way of getting people into stable homes. And we're strengthening collaboration with our partners. And we're retooling our approach to motel vouchers so that we can get every dollar to actually help someone who's in need. But at the end of the day, I know that there's a basic answer to homelessness. That basic answer is right there in the name. The answer to homelessness is a home. That's what we also have to focus on. So we added 2,200 new affordable units since 2018. And we're building 400 new apartment units in Uptown that are connected to transit. And we just announced 300 new housing units in the International District. So as you can see, there is no idea that is off the table when it comes to getting people off the street and into housing. From things like land banking to more micro-communities to selling off city land for housing, we're going to look at all of it. But we're doing it with urgency. This city cannot do it alone. It is not enough just for us to do what I just shared with you. So that's why we're inviting all our service providers and the business community and the public and elected leaders to come to the table this fall to see what we can do to pool our resources to turn the tide on homelessness. So this is no time to back down. We have the heart and we have the will to keep fighting. So let's answer that bell and make sure that everyone has a place to call home. Now, when I look ahead at what's in store for this city, I do see a better future. Some of it is sprouting up now. Some of it is still in the planning stages. But there are bold developments all around us. More people are moving to New Mexico and Albuquerque for good reason. We have affordability, we have an absence of natural disasters, we have beautiful weather like tonight. We also have a diverse and multicultural, intergenerational landscape that you cannot find anywhere else. And businesses are taking notice of this too. There is now a visible path for our economic future in the city of Albuquerque. And I want to thank our governor, our legislators, our city council for all working with us to make this happen. So for decades, we dreamed of an Albuquerque that was the center of a renewable economy. Now that dream is becoming real. Just last week, our second massive solar manufacturer announced that it's coming to Mesa del Sol. Between these companies, Ebon and Maxion and Array, there are literally $1 billion of investment coming to our city and thousands of new jobs to the Duke City. That is our economic future. And this is something that is not happening everywhere else in America. In fact, in this case, America's future is being built here today. And that's something you're going to hear about in our next story.
My name's Courtenay Eichhorst. I'm the business manager at UA Local 412 Plumbers and Pipefitters local union. I believe if you see a city with a lot of construction projects, that means that city's flourishing and it's growing. As you see more and more projects, to me, that's a sign of a healthy city. You drive around any city block and you'll see cranes, you'll see construction workers, you'll see construction vehicles. And it is not going to slow down. We have a lot of big projects right around the city, and to us, it's a good sign of things to come. I mean, you fly into the city of Albuquerque, our airport's under construction, and that was a city of Albuquerque project that extremely successful. It's going great. The industries that we've seen come into town that doesn't look like they're going to stop, of course, the film industry with our Netflix expansion. That's been a great job for a lot of us. There was a ton of workers out at Netflix. We've got UNM Hospital was a big expansion, and that was a big undertaking for everybody in the city. Presbyterian's expanding, all the schools are expanding. It's pretty exciting. We are becoming a bigger, more industrial city, and it's going to allow for more and more jobs. It's going to allow a lot of our families to make sure they've got food on the table, make sure they've got a sustainable future for their family. It helps them buy that extra car for your 16-year-old that needs it. I think it's a long-term thing. I think we'll be here for a long time, really busy. It helps the middle class flourish and it keeps us strong. I believe Albuquerque is a good place to raise a family. Lived here my entire life. My mom and dad were both raised here. We've got some good roots. I've got kids here. I want to make sure that they're able to stay here and work without leaving the state. We want them to have a better life. We want their children to have a better life. I want to make sure that Albuquerque continues to flourish, so in my mind, everything we do here is worth fighting for.
So you can see what's happening on the front lines, a lot of opportunity coming up. And I think Courtney might be here tonight along with his labor brothers and sisters. We have some union folks in the house. Thanks for all the work that you do. And by the way, for the first time in our city's history, our labor unions have multi-year agreements with the city. And that's a good reason for me to personally thank every city worker that's here today. Thank you so much for running our city day in and day out. Thank you. Thank you. Now in Albuquerque, we're also fighting for our servers, our restaurant workers, and our day laborers. We want to see a raise in that minimum tipped wage. And we also provide free job training to 2,000 employees in 300 local businesses each year. So we want to fight to make sure that no one gets left behind in this economy. So as our city grows, we're not going to lose sight of building a thriving downtown. We introduced plans to give downtown its power back. City Hall has actually been trying to find a magical answer for downtown for decades, but no longer. Instead, we're doing something very different. They don't have to be dependent on budget and election cycles. We're going to do what dozens of cities around the country are already doing. We're going to give our urban core its own funding, $200 million over 20 years of its own tax increment. And we're going to give them control of their own growth by supporting leaders who are organizing a new business improvement district. Now you can actually feel this rejuvenation real time. Downtown residents have doubled in the last several years. Ex Novo Brewing just opened. The Arrive Hotel is coming in just a few months. Even Sawmill is booming and Old Town is busy. And our lowrider and car culture continues to thrive. There's a fresh vibe washing over the heart of our city. Now, I know that sometimes when you hear the good news, it's tempting to focus on what's wrong. But I also believe, and I know you do too, it's important to celebrate what's good, what's happening in our city, what we can be optimistic about. So I want you to picture yourself in 2026, just a year and a half from now, on a sunny Albuquerque day. You're strolling through downtown and Old Town and the Bosque and the rail yards on the soon-to-be rail trail, destined to become an iconic feature that links our past to the future and tells our unique story. Also, you'll see C&M Rail Yards Film Academy open and teeming with hundreds of students every day. That is the future we look forward to in just a few years. And all across our city, we are focused on building belonging, strengthening community with third places, like our new multi-generational center in Martinez town, the first one in 20 years. And there's so much more to come. A new Wells Park in the Valley, new Phil Chacon Park in Loma Linda Community Center in the Southeast, the Northwest Multi-Gen Center out by Cottonwood, and a public safety center coming to the Southwest, and an incredible swimming pool coming to the Northeast. And we're not going to give up on the small stuff either. Whether it's adding dog parks or splash pads or bathrooms and water fountains back to our parks. We even planted 25,000 trees and 170 pollinator gardens. And we've added electric vehicles to our fleet, and we are now in the top 4 solar cities in the country. And we're also pushing back on climate change with a city government that is 90% powered by renewable energy. So make no mistake, good things are happening in Albuquerque. Now, all of this comes back to why we do what we do. It's all about building a better future for all our families. And I know that for us, our city needs to be a place of equity, of inclusion, of access to everyone, where we can live healthy lives in the city that we love. Now, speaking of health, if you've been looking for a doctor lately, you'll know there's a shortage. So for the first time ever, our city is getting into the ring on healthcare. That's right, it's the first time ever, folks. So we're building an awesome new clinic that is actually a partnership with specialists designed to recruit and retain healthcare professionals right here in the Duke City while providing healthcare at the Gateway Center. Now, we also don't have enough dentists either. This is also a huge challenge for our city. And for decades, we have said, why can't we have a dental school in New Mexico? And so for the first time in Albuquerque, we are doing that. Toro Dental College is moving right next to the Gateway, and they're going to provide services to keep our kids right here and do all sorts of low-income resident dental work for even greater impact. Now, you know I love this city. It's why I ran for this job. And I know that might sound cliche, but it's our love for this place that drives us to make a difference. And when I was growing up, I remember my parents' stories of the old Caravan East on Route 66. Anyone remember the Caravan East? A couple of folks did a little turn on there. I tell you, they used to get dressed up and grab dinner at the Cooperage, and then they'd dance on that old wooden circular floor. And decades later, I did the same thing, and it was a lot of fun. I was a young state senator from the International District, and I remember being there, even in my 20s, thinking about how that was like Albuquerque in a nutshell. You had people from all walks of life. You had couples who've been together for 60 years. You had college kids, everyone in between from all walks of life under one roof, enjoying life together. Now, our love for Albuquerque can be complicated. It drives our frustration. It drives our disappointment when we don't meet expectations, or when cornerstones of our neighborhood, like that Caravan, are shut down after 55 years, leaving a gaping hole on Route 66 that then, of course, attracted criminal activity. So it took a lot of help from legislators, but we turned what was once that Caravan East, then a vacant lot into the International District Library, transforming a piece of Central back into a gathering place for our community. So now in that same spot where we danced, we take our kids to story hour and we meet for town halls. That caravan story is in so many ways a symbol of our city. No matter what in Albuquerque, we find ways to move forward. In our city, we have been tested throughout our history, and our challenges have been intimidating, but we perpetually beat the odds. We've earned an unmatched resilience, an ability to keep going no matter what. We've got a vibrance and a vigor that shines as bright as the summer sun against our turquoise sky. We know that things aren't going to get turned around overnight, but we are going to keep fighting for the city that we love. This never give up attitude is inherent in our own story. Building strong community, despite our challenges, is Albuquerque's story, a story I believe is an example of America's future. Now, our families have lived this for generations. That fighting spirit is our legacy. And that's why, Albuquerque, we have a future worth fighting for. Thank you so much, Albuquerque. God bless Albuquerque, and enjoy the rest of the evening.